When landlords make upgrades to units, they often pass this cost onto tenants. How can we find ways to incentivize or subsidize upgrades to units? How can we make sure that landlords don't hike rent after making upgrades?
Well, that's what we talked about earlier, in the sense that, you know, the young man that talked about moving on Ballard Street, and the building was literally painted, and then that cost was passed on. And again, you know, we had to get people to the point of that you're providing a service to people that, and I know people, as you indicated, want to make money. That's why they get into real estate, because they want to make money. But at the same time, we're a small community, and we're a growing community, and we're struggling with some issues around housing. And so, I mean, to me, that is going to the landlords and saying, and property owners, and saying in an honest way that we cannot bear this burden, and our citizens can't bear this burden. How can you help? And that doesn't mean, as we're saying, that when you make improvements, and the city, I think, could step in that, just like they do with some homeowners. Washington County has programs that help homeowners, like if you want to get a roof or get, you know, a furnace, those kind of things. We need to have a bigger conversation, and that includes the county, in saying that we are struggling, and that we need the best minds and the best thoughtful thinking around how we can answer the questions, which are that those costs don't get passed on to our citizens, that owners can make improvements and upgrades to their units, but that cost stays with them, because I mean, you're the owner. I would love to be able to say that if I put in a sewer system that, hey, I can take that bill right over to my neighbor and say, listen, can you help with this? But that's not the reality. The reality is that our young people, and that's predominantly who are renters and single folk and others, that cannot bear that burden. They're renting, one, and I shared this with some of my family members, they're renting because it's affordable, and some people choose to rent. But the thing is that you set a budget for yourself, and that budget says, maybe I can afford, you know, $500, $600, $700 a month. But then when somebody does an increase, and they say, well, now your rent's $750, that throws my whole financial picture out of whack. And so then I have to say, well, can I even afford to stay here? Maybe I need to look for something else. But that's a greater conversation, and I don't think it's one that I can answer today, because we need to have conversations with those people who are actually land and property owners, and say to them, you know, what can we help you do to make sure that, one, your units stay full? Because again, if people say to me that I can't stay here and they move out, and the answer is, well, there's somebody waiting for your place, that's not good enough. Because that means that you're not in the business of helping or serving people. And we want people here that are interested in helping people, not just taking advantage of people. And that, to me, is an indication that you want to take advantage of people. Because if you have the resources to upgrade, then you can absorb that cost, to me. I mean, if I do an improvement, that means I plan for that improvement. Now, things happen, emergencies come up, and you plan for that if you're a property owner. In the city of Ypsilanti, we have, there are just a group of people that own everything. It's not like we have that we have a large number of people that own properties. We have just a few landowners that own all of the property. And so we need to have a conversation with those individuals at the table and say, how can you help in this situation? That we have people here that want to stay here, that want to contribute to this community, but cannot afford to stay here and absorb the cost if you're doing improvements. And two, those improvements need to be documented, because one, and that's what I said at the township, to my understanding rather, inspects those units, but also when upgrades are done, those things are recorded at the township, so that they have an idea too of what the cost is that you put in. Because a lot of times, say I run a business, I can get those things at a great discount. So I don't need to pass on the full cost. Maybe I could just pass on, the part that, like with a contractor that says, if I buy it for $10, he gets it for $2. So, I mean, there's a difference there in terms of when people own property and doing upgrades. It's not like me as an individual doing an upgrade. But we have to have a bigger conversation about that. And I'll admit, I don't have all the answers to that. I think that that's something that we all need to sit down and have a conversation around. But we need the right people at the table. And that means that those property owners, landowners, those property managers need to be sitting with us to help think through this.